So guys, what's up? We're back for another video. It has been an incredibly long amount of time since we've done one of these videos. But without further ado, we're going to get started. And this video is going to be my Premier League predictions for the 2020/2021 season. And yeah, let's get started. So onto the 20th, onto the team who I think is going to be rock bottom of the league. And it's going to be West Bromwich Albion. Now, West Brom, a good side, a good team, but the lack of a genuine number 9 or a genuine goal threat, even if it's not a prolific one, but just a goal threat of some sort, is going to cause them a lot of issues. And I do think the fact that they're relying on a half-broken Charlie Austin to score goals is just not going to work out for them. And Matheus Pereira is the only shining light in this team, and I do think Slaven Bilic is going to be getting sacked fairly quickly. And even though if they try bringing in someone more pragmatic, like maybe someone like Sam Allardyce or even Tony Pulis for a second stint, I just don't think it's enough to keep them up right now at least. So yeah, that's going to be West Ham finishing 20th. In 19th, a team that shouldn't even be in the Championship last season. They should have been in the Premier League with the money they spent. It's incredible how Slavica Jukalovic, however you say his name, didn't keep them, and then Ranieri, and then how many ever managers they had. But to be fair to Fulham, to give them a little bit of credit, towards the end when Scott Parker did take over, they did look like a squad that did believe in Scott Parker. And you could always tell with Alexander Mitrovic being the goal machine that he is in the championship, you knew that they were going to either contend or going to go straight back up. So, but like I said, they haven't made any big signings to warrant a place in the Premier League just yet. And I think it's going to be a step too far. And Scott Parker, again, is going to be one that's going to get sacked. And finishing in 18th, a little bit of a controversial one. But it's going to be, for me, Manchester. No, I'm kidding. I wanted to put Man United, but no, it's going to be Aston Villa. Villa stayed up by their fingernails, to be honest, last year. It was pretty dreadful. The money they spent, exactly like Fulham, just had more luck. And I would worry if I was a Villa fan, because if Grealish stays, okay, there will be a fight in them. But even I don't even know how much of a fight they can put. And I know they've just announced Ollie Watkins as I speak. But is he the answer to their problems? No, he's not. They have 3 strikers. We don't know if they're good enough yet, but none of them were given fair enough stints. Wesley got injured just when he looked good enough. Samata and I can't remember, the Keenan Davies were getting juggled around. And they stayed up because they played well towards after restart, to be fair. But why have they signed a striker when, if you look at the other end of their pitch, their defense can be beaten by literally an under-5s team? Their defense can't keep a clean sheet to save their lives. So I don't understand what the thinking behind this one is from Dean Smith and his management staff and the board. Why sign a striker when you need a defender? Or if you're going to sign a striker, sign a defender or 2 as well. And sign a competent fucking goalkeeper, dude. Tom Heaton, again, error-prone, hot-minded. Pepe Reina, error-prone, hot-minded. And Erjan Nyland, I think his name is. Fucking rubbish. All of them. Why are we not signing why are they not signing, why are they not signing a competent goalkeeper? I don't understand. Now, so these are the 3 teams I think are going to get relegated, 2 of which are newly promoted, and 1 of which was promoted last year, who should have arguably gone back down. But anyways, we move. Now, on to 17th, and I do think it's going to be West Ham. Now, I fear for David Moyes, to be fully honest. The guy, he's never been a fan favorite. His first 7 games, I believe 6 of them are against the Big 6. Now, that's just crazy, to be honest. And I know Suchet, Rice, Felipe Anderson, Lanzini, Haller, Pablo Fornals, Antonio, Fredericks, Balbuena, Diop, Fabianski. This is their starting 11, effectively, what I've just named. But they're good players, but I just don't see them. I don't see them staying. I don't see them being comfortable enough in the Premier League. But they will have enough to stay in the Premier League for 1 more season. But I do think David Moyes is going to have to win a few of these games to have his job security intact. Because if he's going to lose all 7 of these, he's 100% getting sacked. Now, on to 16th. And this is going to be, for me, Newcastle. Now, a lot of people are impressed with the business Newcastle have done. And to be fair, I am too. They've done a lot of excellent business with the signings of Ryan Fraser, Callum Wilson, and 2 more arrivals impending, according to Newcastle sources. and Jamal Lewis, and I can't, and one more arrival even. But I just don't think it's enough under Steve Bruce, a pragmatic coach, to keep them. They'll be comfortable, but I don't think relegation battles should be what Newcastle as a club should be. They're one of the most like one of the clubs that definitely should be mid-table, even Europa League. And they do have a solid squad, but with the battle for mid-table in Europa League being as tight as ever, I just don't see it happening. And that leads me on to 15th, which would be Crystal Palace. Now, the Eagles have made some pretty decent signings in Nathan Ferguson and Eze, who are both very young, very skillful, very talented players, and they will fill in gaps that they clearly needed to address. And if Max Meyer can get into the starting 11 and have the same influence as we know he can, they will be pretty comfortable. But the squad is still very old. The spine, the defense, the goalie, the defense. Guaita's a good goalie, but again, old. Center backs really old. So I just don't see how much Palace can push on. So their early season form is going to be very vital. They have to start the season on the right foot to have comfort towards the end. Because like we saw in post-lockdown, they were pretty dreadful. Apart from that convincing win over Bournemouth, they have been very dreadful. Losing 6 on the bounce and just drawing with Spurs. So I don't see them contending for mid-table or even Europe for that matter, but I do see them pretty comfortable in the Premier League. But I would be a little bit worried for the second half of the season. But other than that, should be a solid season for the Eagles. And that leads me on to their rivals, Brighton. Now, I admire Graham Potter and what he's done, to be honest, at Brighton. He's got them playing from such caveman football to actually some nice, free-flowing football. With players like Aaron Moy, who is left for that matter, actually. Players like Adam Lallana, Neil Maupay, they're good players. And, and Tariq Lamptey, they have a good squad. And I do think this will be a very, very good season for Brighton. And they'll be 14th very comfortably, very, very comfortably off relegation, playing good football. The one thing I would worry is when you play good football and you're a mid-table team, sometimes it can be your downfall in games towards the end of games. Instead of being game management, the lack of pragmatism sometimes can play into opponents' hands, but still, I think they have enough quality to be comfortable in this division. That leads me on to 13th, pretty nicely as well. Now, this is going to be a call. I can either go with Southampton or Leeds. Now, Southampton have been red hot since the 9-0 thumping at St Mary's to Leicester, but I do think Danny Ings had a big hand in that, and he will be a prominent figure, but they will need a little bit of help to Ings because he can't keep firing the same numbers as he did last season, don't get me wrong. So I think it will be Southampton in 13, and I'm going to go with Marcelo Bielsa. I can't even get this straight, dude. Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds finishing 12th. Now, this would be a good season, to be honest, for Leeds. After like 20 years of not being in the Premier League, I think they'd take anything at this point. Leeds, just the first season, I think Bielsa can ride his luck quite a lot. And that's not even the full thing. Bielsa is one of the most tactically renowned coaches in the whole world. And people like Pep Guardiola fear him. And he has a set of tactics which are like as good as anyone. But I would fear, because he doesn't have the squad of players he might need. They have signed Rodrigo, but I just think that he needs a little bit more. So 12th will be a good season, but they'll need time, Leeds, after a very long stay out of the Premier League. Now, 11th, I'm going to go with Sheffield United, and 10th, I'm going to go with Burnley. The reason I'm not doing too much on these two is because I think these are both good seasons. Now, Sheffield United, of course, from going from maybe even a Champions League spot to Europa League and then the mid-table, we knew it was going to come eventually, and the loss of Dean Henderson is going to impact them. But I don't think finishing mid-table in the Premier League is bad at all. If anything, it's still going to be a success for Chris Wilder, and he's going to have a job for a very long time, unless they do really poorly, which I don't see them doing. Because I know they've lost Henderson, and he is one of the best goalies in the league, but they have signed Ramsdale, who's not a bad replacement, not a as high quality replacement, but he's not a bad replacement either. So, and they do still have a very similar core of players, which means they do have a team spirit. The only other thing I would worry for is the lack of a genuine striker. Like Lys Mousset is a hold-up player. David McGoldrick, hold up there. They're not genuine players who can play from their back to goal. So I would worry, but other than that, should be a solid season. And as for Burnley, they're just Stoke City. Nothing else to be said. Move on. In ninth, I'm gonna have Leicester. Now, Leicester are Brendan Rodgers is going to have a very difficult time, to be honest. I don't see him. I could very easily see his job being under serious threat. And if they are going to lose Madison, which I don't think they will, because I think he signed a contract extension, but you never know. If they lose someone like Madison, then it's going to be difficult for them to be, like extremely competing again for Champions League. And now they have Europa League football. And they just don't have the squad depth, to be honest. I see them getting knocked out in the round of 16 in the Europa League and probably finishing just mid-table in the Premier League, which it's not a bad season, but I think with their talent they should be better. But the lack of squad depth is going to cost them. And Ben Chilwell going, and I know they signed Timothy Castagna from Atalanta, but Ben Chilwell was used to the league. Castagna is going to take time to adapt to the Premier League, so it'll be a slow starting season for Leicester. In eighth, I'm gonna have Nuno Espirito Santos' Wolves. One of the teams that I think everyone likes to watch. To be honest, Wolves. They're just a fun team to watch under Nuno. They play amazing football. They're just amazing. Wolves are one team where even if they're losing by 2-0 to the best team in the world, you don't write them off. You never write Wolves off. You literally cannot write Wolves off. From losing positions, no team in the last 3 years has come back more from losing positions than Wolves. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that is an incredible stat, to be honest. But in contradiction to this, they've just had a 15-month season. It is a 13-month season even. It's going to be very difficult for them to keep up that same intensity that they did have. And now with Doherty leaving, but they did sign a Portuguese striker for 40 million, a Fabio Silva or Fabio something. I can't remember his name. But I don't think they needed depth in their attack. I think they needed a depth in their defense. So it will be eighth, which is not a bad season at all for Wolves, considering, considering nobody expected them to do this well. But eighth and probably just quarterfinals in the Europa League again, which is a good season. Now, this is the big ones, I guess. Now, Everton, seventh. Carlo Ancelotti, my goodness me, the guy is spending, and they have finally, after so many years, they have a midfield. Alan Decore, who's already used to the Premier League, James, who's played under Ancelotti for a majority of his career, will be good signings, and I do think that this will help Everton a lot. Now, and their attack is going to be free-flowing as ever with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, and maybe Gylfi Sigurdsson or somebody like that in behind them, or maybe even James playing higher up, and then Andre Gomez or Gamin playing in a three-man midfield. We don't know what they're going to try. But I do fear, because that defense is a little bit suspect, they haven't signed a right back. They haven't signed and Sidibe's loan is over, and I don't think Coleman can play every game in and out, to be fully honest. And I would fear for them because their defense is a little bit error prone, and Jordan Pickford has that error in them. But seventh would be a pretty good season, and it would buy Carlo Ancelotti quite a bit of time. And now on to the big six. Let's get started. In number 6, we're going to have none other than Tottenham Hotspur. Now, I love Mourinho. After watching that All or Nothing, my love for the manager has just increased. The guy's a winner. He wins wherever he goes. But I think this is going to be similar to his first season as it was in United. Not just in terms of where they finish, but in terms of how they win trophies. I do think they will win at least one trophy, and I think that probably will be the Europa League this year, which will give them Champions League football. At least that's what I think, and maybe even a Carabao Cup or something like that. So yeah, but I do think Mourinho is going to have to do a bit more if he's going to stay after this season to convince Spurs fans. But they are building something, and if they can recruit they've secretly had a good window. They've signed Doherty, which is where they're one of their biggest areas. If they can recruit a little bit more in terms of defensive backup and maybe a better left back, they could be serious. They could be even They could be comfortable Champions League regulars pushing for the Premier League title, but that's still a while to go. And in fifth, unfortunately, fifth and fourth are really up for grabs, to be honest. I think the top three is relatively very simple. Like the three teams that will be in the top three in any order will be either Liverpool, City, Chelsea, City, Liverpool, etc. But the fourth and fifth spot are going to be up for debate, and I'm tempted because I'm a Man City fan. That means I don't like Man United, and I love what Arteta is doing in Arsenal. But I do think Gabriel, Saliba, they're going to need time. They're going to need a lot of time to get used to Premier League. They're coming from League One. It's a way less physically demanding league compared to the Premier League. And I know they just won the Community Shield, but don't read into that too much. Man City won the Community Shield last year, and they played nowhere near to the standard. That's why you can't read too much into one-off cup games at all. The FA Cup, to be fair, you can read into it because it's like a tournament-based type of thing. But again, they did like I don't see them finishing top four just yet under Mikel Arteta. They will need time still, Arsenal, to regroup. But he is building something, and this is a team to watch out for. And in fourth, it's going to be none other than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Man United. Now, I think Man United with Donny van de Beek, Bruno Fernandes, and Pogba, it's a very good midfield. I would worry about the lack of defensive-ness in that midfield, but again, it's still a talented midfield, and I think we're all excited to see what they can do for them. But they do lack as good as Greenwood is. He's 18, 19. He's just a teenager. He can't be playing week in, week out in a 50-game season for one of the biggest clubs in the world. So I think fourth is a fair finish. Unless they sign Jadon Sancho and a world-class center-back, I wouldn't have them finishing anywhere higher than fourth. And then it's going to be on to Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man City. Now, this is going to be a controversial call, but I think Liverpool are going to finish third. Now, this is going to sound crazy, and I'm going to have a lot of people call me out for this one, considering how good they're. But I don't see Liverpool doing that well. I watched almost every single Liverpool game last year, and to be all honest, I know they won a lot, but all of them were like 2-1, 3-1 wins. And a win is a win, don't get me wrong. But they've not recruited at all. Zero recruitment done. And this is the same squad, almost identical to the one that was last year and the year before. You know, they do need fresh legs, and I don't think Thiago is going to come now. And if they lose Wijnaldum and they don't get a replacement, it's going to be a big, big blow for Jurgen Klopp's men. And third will be a very, very big shock, but I do see them finishing third. And in second, I'm going to have... Now, I want to try not to show bias, because Chelsea and Man City have both recruited excellently. And again, the City's position depends on if they sign a genuine class left back and a centre back. But I think Chelsea will finish second. It'll be very close between Chelsea, City, and even Liverpool for that matter. It'll be a very tight top three. But the way Chelsea have recruited, it's almost criminal. Thiago Silva, Malang Sarr, Ben Chilwell, that's three new defenders. Kai Havertz, Hakim Ziyech, Timo Werner. Christian Pulisic is going to be almost like a brand new signing, considering he didn't play. He had so many injury troubles. So if he can stay fit, this will be a good Chelsea side. I would worry for them for a few reasons. Their goalkeeper Kepa is still suspect, and the lack of gelling for the squad will be a concern. But I think Frank Lampard has them in the right direction, and they will easily be competing with City for the Premier League title. But that leads us on to Manchester City, who, in my opinion, are going to win the Premier League, and it's gonna happen. And people are going to call me deluded, and sure. But Ferran Torres is exactly what Man City needed. He's somebody similar to Sane in the way they play, except he might actually give us a little bit of something completely different. Mahrez is playing well, Sterling is playing well, Aguero is going to be fully fit, Laporte is going to be fully fit, Nathan Ake is a good player, Cancelo is, I know we said we need a new left back, but Cancelo is making that left back spot his own. Walker is making the right back spot his own as well. And David Silva leaving is a massive blow. It's going to be a big blow. But I do think Man City will have enough firepower to win the league. And I'm going to say probably going to win the domestic treble. The domestic, not the Champions League, because that just depends. And if City signs someone like Kalidou Koulibaly, then there's no chance anybody competes with that defense, because their defense was the only big issue. Their attack was still free-flowing as hell last year. There were times where they struggled, but they still managed to score, and that's what you need in a world-class team. And I do think Pep has quite a lot of pressure, considering the end of season, the way their season ended. He is going to be under quite a lot of pressure, so he will be out to prove his doubters wrong and to prove that he's not just a checkbook manager. So, yeah, those are my Premier League predictions. A little bit of a controversial one, I think, but I think Liverpool finishing in third is probably the most controversial one, and nobody probably agrees with that. And not even some Chelsea fans will disagree with this one. But I do think it will be an exciting Premier League season, and I can't wait for it to start. And yeah, So that's going to be it for now. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. It's been a while. I want to try uploading more, but it's becoming more and more harder as days go on. So I wanted to get this upload out as soon as I could. So yeah, I'm going to try to push this out today. It's currently 6 o'clock, so I'm going to just make some tweaks to it and push it out by 7ish today. And yeah, that's about it, to be honest. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.